Dragons versus Dragons. The war that burned Westeros. In the skies above Westeros, wings once cast shadows of awe and terror. But there came a time when dragons, those symbols of Targaryen might, turned against each other. Welcome back, everyone, to the channel where fantasy meets strategy and nostalgia fuels our digital adventures. It wasn't an invasion from across the sea. It wasn't the Night King, nor the free folk beyond the wall. No, this was a war from within. This was the Dance of the Dragons, a brutal civil war where dragon fought dragon, family betrayed family, and the skies of Westeros turned black with smoke and fire. Welcome back, viewers, to the channel where fantasy breathes fire and lore roars to life. Today, we tell the true story behind the deadliest Targaryen conflict in history. Dragons versus Dragons. The war that burned Westeros. A king's decision that divided a dynasty. To understand how dragons became enemies, we must start with the reign of King Viserys I Targaryen, a man known more for peace than conquest. Viserys made a bold and controversial decision. He named his daughter, Princess Rhaenyra Targaryen, as his heir to the Iron Throne. Not his brother, not his second son, but his firstborn daughter, Rhaenyra, dragon rider of Syrax, and a woman trained for rule from childhood. For a time, the realm accepted this, reluctantly. But everything changed when King Viserys remarried. His new queen, Alicent Hightower, gave him sons, especially Aegon, their firstborn male. Now the seeds of war had been planted. The realm began to split between those loyal to Rhaenyra, known as the Blacks, and those who supported Aegon II, the Greens. The silent coup, crowning Aegon II. When King Viserys finally died, the world expected Rhaenyra to ascend. She had waited decades for this moment. But what happened next changed everything. In the dead of night, Queen Alicent and her allies hid the king's death for days. They locked up Rhaenyra's supporters, bribed lords, and quickly crowned Aegon II in the Dragon Pit. It was a coup, a stolen crown. And in that moment, the Dance of the Dragons began. The Targaryen civil war begins. Rhaenyra, upon learning of the betrayal, crowned herself at Dragonstone with her own loyalists. Both sides claimed legitimacy. Both sides had dragons. Both sides had fire. And both sides were prepared to burn the realm for the throne. The Blacks rallied powerful houses like Valyrian and Tully. The Greens secured House Hightower, Baratheon, and Lannister. War drums echoed from the Eyrie to Old Town. But this was no ordinary war. This was a dragon war. Dragon versus dragon. The sky turns to flame. Never before in Westeros had dragons fought dragons. Each side had monstrous beasts of fire and wingspan, with names that would burn themselves into legend. Let's meet the major players. Rhaenyra's side, the Blacks. Syrax, Rhaenyra's mount. Caraxes, the Blood Wyrm, ridden by Daemon Targaryen. Vermax, Arrax, Tyraxes, and more. Aegon II's side, the Greens. Sunfire the Golden, Aegon's dragon. Vhagar, the largest and oldest living dragon, ridden by Prince Aemond. Tessarion, the Blue Queen. Dreamfire, and others. The battles that followed were not just of swords and sieges. They were battles where the sky became a battlefield, and entire castles were reduced to ashes in minutes. Let's walk through the most horrifying of these airborne massacres. Blood on the Sky, Key Dragon Battles. The Storm's End Tragedy. Young Lucerys Velaryon, Rhaenyra's son, flew on Arrax to treat with House Baratheon. But waiting there was Aemond Targaryen, atop Vhagar. Tensions boiled into a skybound chase in a storm. Arrax, smaller and less experienced, was no match. Vhagar, ancient and colossal, ripped both boy and beast from the sky. Lucerys' death was the first blood of the Dragon War, and it shattered Rhaenyra. The battle over the God's Eye. In perhaps the most epic and tragic moment of the war, Daemon Targaryen faced off with Aemond Targaryen. Their dragons, Caraxes and Vhagar, battled above the lake known as the God's Eye. In the end, both dragons crashed into the waters. Daemon leapt from his saddle and drove a sword into Aemond's face mid-air. The battle claimed both riders and both dragons. The lake boiled. The sky wept fire. The death of dragons. As the war raged on, dragons died at a rate never seen before. Meleus, ridden by Rhaenys Targaryen, died in the skies over Rook's Rest in a suicidal clash against Sunfire and Vhagar. Vermax, Tyraxes, Moondancer, Seasmoke, each met horrifying ends, either in battle, ambush, or at the hands of commoners who turned on dragons out of fear. The Dragon Pit riot in King's Landing was a turning point. The small folk, driven by fear and rage, stormed the Dragon Pit and slaughtered 4 dragons inside. For the first time, dragons weren't just dying to each other. They were being hunted. This was the beginning of the end for House Targaryen's magical supremacy. The fall of Rhaenyra. After so much loss, Rhaenyra finally sat on the Iron Throne, but only briefly. King's Landing had fallen to her. But the realm was tired. Her council fractured. Her allies dwindled. Soon, her enemies rallied again. Aegon II returned, broken, burned, and bitter, but determined. Rhaenyra was betrayed by her own, captured, and taken to Dragonstone, where Aegon fed her to his dragon, Sunfire, in front of her last remaining son. It was one of the most horrific moments in Targaryen history. The poisoned crown. Despite his victory, Aegon II's reign did not last. He ruled in fear. He ruled in cruelty. He alienated his council, his lords, and even his own guards. Just 2 years after Rhaenyra's death, Aegon II was poisoned, believed to be by his own men. With both claimants dead, the war was over. The Iron Throne was given to Rhaenyra's son, Aegon III, a boy haunted by the memory of watching his mother burned alive. He would later be known as Aegon the Dragonbane, for under his rule, the last of the dragons died out. The era of dragons had ended. Who won? Who lost? The dance of the dragons had no real victors. Targaryens lost more than just family. They lost their legacy, their power, and their mystique. Nearly all of the dragons were dead. Many noble houses were wiped out or weakened. The realm was left scarred, leaderless, and traumatized. And the Targaryen dynasty? It limped forward, forever fractured and diminished. The great beasts they once controlled became legends, myths, and eventually bones buried in dust. The cost of civil war. The true tragedy of the dance wasn't just the dragons or the monarchs. It was how quickly a kingdom can collapse from within. This was a civil war driven by ego, pride, and the fear of female rule. Had Viserys forced the realm to accept Rhaenyra earlier? Had Alicent and her father Otto Hightower honored the king's decree? Had brothers and sons placed peace above ambition? Then Westeros may have soared in a golden age of dragons and unity. But instead, it burned. Legacy and echoes in history. Centuries later, when Daenerys Targaryen reclaimed her birthright and raised dragons from stone, the memories of the dance echoed. If you enjoyed this fiery deep dive into Targaryen history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon lore. What battle shocked you the most? Do you believe the dance was inevitable? Or could it have been stopped? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and join the conversation. Until next time, remember, fire may be power, but too much of it can destroy a kingdom.